Welcome everybody to the Lone Wolf Show on Witchcraft TV, but online, but also streaming worldwide on Roku television. And we got a few special guests backstage. Brand new podcast coming out on the streams in the general pagan and witchy world. Witch, and we're going to introduce them right now. Without any further ado, we have Buffalo Woman, we have Karen.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having us.
And also Moonlight Rose. Welcome to Witchcraft TV. Glad to have y'all on. I've been noticing on the streams, well, and then in the what we call the web of magic, so to speak, that y'all have been doing a new show called Witch. And so who actually who does most of the tech? Like, where did Witch come from? Who like kind of networked everyone together? You know, because it is a trio, and triangles definitely yield a lot of power. Thrice kind of current going on here. So I assume maybe Karen, you're the tech.
Yeah. I've as we were talking about earlier, I've had an app, the Divine Feminine app, for over a decade, and I have a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel, has like over 1,200. It's all right. It has like over 1,200 subscribers on it.
I don't know if y'all can hear me, but I can't hear anything.
Okay.
Hold on, Buffalo Woman.
We definitely hear you. Yeah. But Karen, yeah, please continue. I love to hear the story. And
so the YouTube channel is mainly just me talking like little informational things on how to do things on the app, which is pretty simple. It's just about finding circles and events and resources. And we also did this thing called the Ninth Wave collaboration, where there's about 45 women or organizations that are now involved in that. And it's just us supporting each other. And we have like a monthly meeting, and we always take something from there and do like an edit and clip that. But that's about it. So I have this YouTube channel that has some traction on it, and we'll save the details. But it just came to me to do something that there's so many different. Well, should we go back and should I? Where should we go from here? Tell us.
I mean, what's the name of the YouTube channel?
I can't hear y'all, by the way.
Oh, the name of the YouTube channel is the Divine Feminine app. I wonder why they can't hear us. Neither of them can hear us?
Not really sure. Sorry about that situation with the tech gremlins and things. I can hear you fine, Karen.
Yeah, no, I can hear you too. That's odd. Okay, sorry. What did you ask? I was thinking about them not being able to hear.
We were talking about the Divine Feminine, and also the YouTube channel, and your network of like minds, and how did that start for you?
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so I probably a decade ago, over almost 12 years. And long story short, like a lot of us, I found myself struggling, hitting rock bottom, found women's circles. Through women's circles, she found me, the goddess. And again, long story short, I'm very involved now with goddess spirituality. It's kind of my thing. But over the years, I would like see, doing these circles, and we do the circles on the new moons and the full moons, and I would start to notice that the intentions I had came true. I started like just realizing that, I would set something or say something in the circle or write it down, and it would come true. And we're not, big things, small things. I was like, whoa. So I think that was when I first started thinking along the lines of witch, and started looking into that word, witch.
So Moonlight Rose and Buffalo Woman, can you hear us at all, or they cannot? Okay. All right. Well, I assume the show must go on and things.
Yeah, I'm muting. Should maybe they jump off and try to get back on?
Right. Yeah. If you could tell them in a different format to do so, that may or may not help. Absolutely.
Hey, sweetie. Me? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Well, we were just talking about technical things, and this is what I do all day long is I'm on video calls, and that sometimes the gremlins come, and it's just the way it goes.
Yeah. No. Where do you think the whole terminology of gremlins came from? Because I've heard that a lot in
Okay.
particularly in pagan media where it's the gremlins.
Yes,
Where do
thank
think
you.
that came from?
It came from that movie, didn't it? The Gremlin movie?
I hope so.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not really I'm not very good at details, which was another
not
reason
either.
that we started. Oh, good, you're back. You can hear us, Jen, huh? You can hear and see?
Hope.
Which was another reason that I started this podcast, because all three of us, Jen and Buffalo Woman, they're local, and all three all three of us are very different type of witches. Jen, Moonlight Rose, she has so many books and resources, and has really embraced studying about all this and the knowledge of it. Buffalo Woman, she's really lived it. She's as she said, fifth generation out there in the lawn eating plants and herbs and always wearing bones around her neck, and then there's me, and I'm not so much I'm sort of a get it done type person, and that's what I've done with the app is I've been able to have this computer app that there's almost 12,000 people now that have registered, and that's without Harold, I'm gonna have a hard time not laughing. You gonna turn off the video until we get Cynthia up and going? No.
Is it possible that are you all celebrating the solstice together? Are you at the same place?
We are at the same place. We were all going to do this in the same room, but we were going to oh yes, good point. Why don't you all come in here and we get behind my computer?
Okay.
And we'll squeeze in. Get comfy and squeeze in. That would be a lot better. Because if not, I'm just going to sit here and giggle. Hold on.
I think that's what's going on, Karen, is that we have, you're a dominating type of connection, I think, that's going on. So there we have it. Witch in the building right here on Witchcraft TV. Really cool. So now we just have to unmute that mic and we're good to go.
All right.
Now you're good.
There we are. Awesome.
We're here.
Hi.
Very cool.
And then we're gone. And now we're back.
Well, I think that every voice is important in contemporary witchcraft, and it's kind of the perfect opportunity to say that every voice of the craft should be heard, regardless of what tradition or what time period or what slant, because I'm not sure that there's any right or wrong way to practice the craft. So yeah, every voice is important. So Karen, you were telling me about the YouTube channel and the Divine Feminine and your app that you're talking about. Now, is this particular app something that you've created yourself as a programmer?
No, I've been working with the same person and actually a company in India for over the last decade. So he's instrumental. I never could have done it on my own. And I see, you know, what we've been able to do. But it basically, you know, it's as I said, almost 12,000 people registered, and we've had 3 a day come to it. And circles, events, resources, there's about another 9,000. So, and I was going to, and I just didn't, I'm going to be really honest with you. I didn't realize we were going to be live today. I thought this was just going to be hopping on and meeting you, which is cool. Very cool. We're obviously a little unprepared, so sorry about that. But I was going to get, you know, I have so many witches and organizations, Phyllis Currat, you know, gosh, I'm sitting here looking, I've got podcasts, I've got books, and that's another thing that just the word witch, like examining the word, what does it mean? And, you know, especially right now, as we see like it coming so much into popular culture, and my daughters, you know, they will like tell me movies they've seen or something like that, and I kind of cringe at it. So it's just really an examination of, you know, how, you know, what qualifies you to call yourself a witch? What are the different types of witches? How do we all fit in? And I was thinking about that. The divine feminine, you know, there's so many witches in my app, but obviously not everybody who is into the divine feminine is a witch. The divine feminine's in every religion. And then the next thought I had, maybe this was when my candle sparked this morning, was that maybe there are witches in every religion. That's an interesting thought. I've got a friend who's a Jewish, you know, and yeah. So, and just what does that word mean? But I'm hogging it. So I'm going to turn it to one of you two.
Now, my ancestral tie to the craft was a Christian witch and healer and all that. She just, you know, invoked the Trinity when she was casting spells instead of Hecate or Lilith, you know. But it's the same, it comes from the same place of realizing that through our energetic pursuits, we can affect the world around us for the better. Yeah.
I was thinking about that word, transmugation. Is that because I grew up Catholic, and I was thinking about that Catholicism, and I was trying to tell my partner this, that when you take the host, like when you have communion, they actually, it's a tenet of Catholicism that it turns into the blood and body of Jesus Christ. So, you know, I mean, how's that for witchcraft?
It's blood magic.
Yes.
It is blood magic. Yeah.
So I was just like, dang.
I grew up Christian, didn't fit in because I would see spirits, I would feel spirits, see them, and there was something about me different. And I also seen UFOs. I've seen it all, but I know when I was in the Bible Belt Church here, I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel like I was part of it. And back in 2000, I left. And before that, I was researching a lot on witchcraft because I'm a book person, and researching. And a lot of people would say, you're going to hell for it. So I'd stop and I'd do it again and stop and do it again. And I couldn't help it. There was something about me I felt like pulled, if that makes sense. And I left the church, and I'm very thankful I did. And it's not to be mean against anybody. It's just I didn't feel like at home. And being in the witchcraft, traditional witchcraft folk, I really felt at home. And back in 2015, I was in the closet, and I stayed in the closet until I met Cynthia, which from Huntsville, Alabama. And when I met her, I come out of the closet, and I lost family because of it. I lost friends because of it. But you find out in the end who your real friends and family are. And I want to thank these ladies right here because I couldn't do it without them. And I thank you, Harold, too, because this means a lot to me because and to them because we want to pass the word that witches are not evil. Yes, you can be evil if you want to, but in all, we're not. We're just another group of people that love the nature, that love the research, the occult, we like to the mysteries. We want to dig in. We want to know the history, the science behind everything. And I feel that's just my path and I'm sticking to it.
I grew up in the church too, Baptist church,
Methodist.
in Alabama, and
Catholic. So we got it all.
every word of the Bible is true, and was taken to church on a regular basis. And I was 12 years old, and the preacher was preaching on John 3:16. And when he read that I'm the way, the truth, and the life, something clicked in me and was like, I know what he means. He means I am too. It's that light is in me. And I just will never forget how I felt right then. And I wanted to stand up and tell everybody, interrupt the preacher and be like, wait, teacher, you're doing it wrong. And then I thought, no, I can't do that. And then I looked around and I was like, there is nobody here that I can talk to about any of these ideas. And then I felt really sorry for everybody. And then, Harold, I started praying. God, please take this awareness away from me so I can sit here and pray in ignorance, and because I'm going to have to do all this on my own now. It was terrifying. Oh. But that was my awakening, and I haven't stopped since.
I have this belief because, finding myself, having this app, meeting all these people, getting to know, witchcraft and all that stuff. And I thought that I was looking so hard for so long and thinking that I would just find the right people, the right whatever, and it'd click. And then I realized that it's messy. That it's messy. I mean, we were talking a little bit before about like drama in the pagan world, because this isn't what we didn't grow up honoring solstice, and we didn't grow up, or most of us. I do have a few friends who are lucky enough to do that, but the majority of us didn't grow up in an earth-centric spirituality. We, grew up with chocolate and Easter bunnies, So we're all learning our way. We're all just kind of figuring out the best things. And sometimes people get stuck on, you're doing it wrong, or you need to be doing it this way, or, but it's what works for you. I was thinking about that too. When I was thinking about the word witchcraft, I was like, witchcraft is, and that's funny because you said that. I said, witchcraft is really, to me, the realization that divinity is inside me. That's what witchcraft is. And that if you learn to master your mind, you can master the world. And it's not, and oh, let me make that, it's not master the world, master your world. There's a difference, a big difference.
Absolutely. Yeah. If there's one sentence that could express what we do, you're right, Karen. That's it.
Yep. And it's the time is now. I mean, we are living through, where witchcraft is becoming, out of the broom closet. Mm-hmm. And you see it everywhere. You see it with, Abraham Hicks, Alan Watts. All those people are about the power of your mind.
I even know people from the Golden Dawn that has came to me, and I'm like, wow, I didn't know it was a bigger world than what it was. And the mysteries and the high magic that they do and stuff, it was just there's so many openings that people are actually starting to come out that you didn't realize.
And the second part of it, and Harold, we're like, did you want to say something?
No, I actually enjoy it when guests do the most of the talking, because it's not about me or at all. It's about Witch podcast and the women that make that trio.
Awesome. Yeah, the second part to me, the witch, when I think about the definition of witch, is learning how to harness or not harness, work with the natural rhythms in the world. And that's just thinking about going upstream in a river versus going downstream and learning how to use, the cycles and the herbs and the spells and the intentions and all these different things that can help you in life. And, I'm curious too, Harold, and I know you said you like us to talk about it, but we were talking before the show, because I know a lot of these people that I've only been doing this 12 years. But I mean, I know people who have been doing witchcraft. We were talking about Z Budapest and Karen Tate and people that I know that have been doing this decades. So I'm just curious, like, how has it changed?
How has it changed? I feel, well, it's kind of, I'm Aries, so I'll think of something rather quickly. I think that it's changed mostly that in the early days, contemporary witchcraft was very unorganized. It's always been an unorganized religion. It's something that, and the mere fact that it's a religion at all is negotiable between who you're talking to. And I think that's the fruit of the craft itself.
It's not anymore.
I think the fruit of the craft itself is that it is negotiable, and there is no right or wrong way to practice your individual spirituality. I feel like there's been implemented a lot of churches with contemporary witchcraft, I think, because of, government protections that you can get and things like that. And in the old days, they didn't really have that. It was a lot more the church is irrelevant. And nowadays, contemporary witches and practitioners want the same protections as other mainstream religions. So I think that has changed a lot. I also feel like in the early days of, particularly some of the teachings that are coming through, she had mentioned the Golden Dawn and things. I feel like a lot of the current from the Golden Dawn has found its way to contemporary witchcraft. There's whole traditions that are utilizing the LBRP spun in their own way and things. And we also have cousins, which are the OTO. I think everything is in a perpetual state of motion. So I think everything is constantly going to change. I think that the older ways of doing things perhaps separates traditional witchcraft from perhaps eclectic witchcraft. And I think we're stepping into an age where nowadays the majority of the percentage of the population into the craft are more eclectic and not necessarily in a particular tradition, which I think is good because, well, new traditions are born. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your questions. I'm kind of all over the place.
No, that's good.
That's perfect.
Yeah, and I because I remember like Karen Tate, I was having and before we came, we're pretty good friends now. And before we became good friends, she found the app and she was like, I had no idea that Goddess Spirituality was still alive and kicking. And that's what I do see. Like, she's in California, and on my app, California and New York are, the East Coast are kind of the two busiest places. But at the same time, it seems like those big public rituals have died down. Like they don't have I don't know. It just doesn't seem. I mean, are you like I know Starhawk still I don't know. Does it seem like there's as many like public, and maybe it's COVID, maybe it's just a timing or.
When you mentioned Starhawk, there's a few different names of Starhawk. You have Starhawk, I think, in New York City that does the Witch Fest, and then you have the original Starhawk that wrote that fantastic. Yeah,
that was the one I was talking about. I know her work more.
Yeah. As far as public rituals and things, I think it's all about. I think it's all about, and this is something I think it still rings true today, is that the craft still and always will be a seeker's tradition. You're not going to find clergy members with preaching on a street corner. You're not going to find proselytation. It's a seeker's path. And the craft is not for everyone either. It's one of those things where you just got to get out there and network and things and be really, really hungry. So it's very, very easy to find a patriarchy religion. But as far as following in the footsteps of the mother and the matriarch, you're going to have to, be a seeker. And even our trained adepts and, initiates are still seekers. And they're always say that in things. So I think, the seeker's path is definitely networking and things. And I think, that's about it.
That's funny though, because I do a lot of talking right now about forming goddess community, and I don't even really know. Well, I do know what that means. I don't know how to do that because I know we can't go back to, temples of Ephesus or whatever they were, over Greek Crete. It's not going to happen. But I do know, and I do see that. First of all, we need community. We need to come together and get an altered state of consciousness, and not just by drugs, alcohol, other unhealthy ways, but by meditation, by singing, by chanting, by drumming. And, so I have friends like Annie Finch, who's she's calls herself a poetress witch. And oh my gosh, she's awesome. And she did a ritual for ASWIM, which is the Association for the Study of Women in Mythology. And they have annual gatherings. And I went to that ritual and it was just so much fucking fun. Oh, can we cuss on here?
I haven't had any issues with the FCC, so why fucking
I mean, it was just, she had us divided like into like the maiden on one side and the crone on the other, and we were like, and then there was some rockets, like I mean, it was just so much fun. And then we did this ritual where she had women, and we had then we went through their legs and like did an intent, and it was just and there was some oracle cards involved, and she was like zero planning. She was like, all I had to do was get together 6 to 8 women who were, and we put something together and we thought it out, and it was amazing. And you like, the things that we do in circle, all 3 of us, I mean, we're in circle all the time. And the way that you're in circle, where you come together and you meditate and you sing and you drum, and then you have a period where you get to talk, and you get to talk uninterrupted, which I may be interrupting people, so I'll shut up after this. That is, to me, it's such a huge contrast from anything out there, other religions. Now, where does that fit in where does that fit with pagans? Where does that fit with witches? That's a question that interests me a lot. And that's something that, I'd love to explore on our podcast and talk about more.
Yes. Our next schedule 1 is about we're going to talk about public and private rituals and what that looks like for us, and our experiences with public ritual and how we've seen it grow and change over the years.
I think I feel like the differences between public and private writ or sabbats or isbats are important. But I have noticed that a lot of, even the traditional Wiccan covens around the United States, they have public gatherings, but they'll also have private ones too. And I think technology has really created a great tool for a lot of seekers in the craft, because a lot of the bigger covens and organizations within the country what they'll do is they'll have a website, and they'll have courses and things, and they'll have teachings, and they'll have classes, and they'll have, videos and things. And but in opinion, what I feel like is going on is they're actually observing who the smart ones are, or who the ones with a lot of potential, because ultimately they want to bring them into their fold. And I think that's what's really going on with technology and things. With that, and there's a lot of organizations and groups and covens and things that utilize the craft for financial gain, which may or may not be okay. Well, everything's okay, but not in excess. So I think that could be like baneful. But I think there's a time and place for everything. There's a time and place. There's a time and place for a public Sabbat or Isbat. There's a time and place for something private. If you are going to practice particular rituals like the Great Rite, you may, you do it like the older way, or with where everyone's sky clad, and you do an actual Great Rite ritual, you may want to, keep it private. Maybe not something you want public, because in contemporary times, it seems like it's a lot more family oriented. You have covens in New York City where their whole infrastructure is built on family oriented. Children's are there and everything, and which is good, in some aspects. So I think it's I feel like there's a time and place for everything.
It's funny because I actually meant private, like being just by yourself, because I feel like, especially like, because the word witch is not it's more acceptable these days. And there are more people than ever before, especially the younger generation, interested in this concept. They're going out and they're seeking, or they're finding stuff online, or they're, reading books, and they're doing, private new moon or full moon or whatever, and not even like, I wasn't even speaking of like, okay, a private ritual with your coven, or versus a public, opening it up to the public. Yeah, definitely just not something I had thought about, but obviously a huge thing, because I've been at a lot of like rituals. Some of them work, some of them don't. Yeah. And what makes it work versus what makes it not work, and a lot of that is internal with you. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Harold?
What I think, I feel like I think what works for you is very important. I feel like when it comes to different ways to navigate through your practice, depends a lot on what works for you. I feel like the best teacher that you can find in the craft is going to unlock your spirituality and not the spirituality of the teacher. I feel like that's very important for any teacher, because you may have unlocked potential that the teacher doesn't have. I feel like sometimes, and there's different variations of that too, that works both ways. There's,
What about you, Cynthia? What do you think?
Well, my only complaint really for the public rituals I've been to, and they've been at festivals, so they weren't like open to everyone, but everyone there, was that the organizers and the people doing the meat of the ceremony were performing things as though they were doing a ritual with only 3 or 4 people. So, and at these rituals, there were, dozens, if not about 100 people. So only the few participants that were doing the actual ritual could tell what the heck they were doing, because it's like when you have a big ritual, the movements need to be big, so that everybody feels like they're participating and not just watching, peering through the keyhole at someone else doing a ritual in the middle of the circle. Yes,
I totally agree, because Huntsville's actually starting to get pagan stuff, but like she said, it's the last one I went to, my heart was into it. I wanted to, but being I don't know, it's exactly what she says. It's the group of the six, but it's supposed to be bigger. It's supposed to be the community. It's supposed to be, we're supposed to put all our heart into it, but it takes everybody to come out of the shell, the peephole.
Yeah, and feel like they're a participant. I mean, why have a ritual with, more than just your close group?
Yes.
If you're not going to make everyone feel like they're an integral part of the ritual. I mean, to me, that's part of it. If not, you're just doing something like in the zoo, and everybody's just kind of watching.
Because I wanted this. I wanted the last one we had, and I could not get it. Because it was just, it's got to take a community of people not peeping through peepholes. It's got to take the community of all of us together when we're together to be able to be who we are and let it all out.
Okay, so I went to the Parliament of World Religions, and were you there?
That's awesome. Good for you.
Yeah. It was an amazing experience. I mean, 9,000 people from all over the world, every single religion. And I do want to say that I was upset because Goddess Spirituality was not on the checklist when I registered, which goes to tell you that, But anyhow, they had, who Matthew Fox, so he used to be a minister and left the church, and he did a cosmic mass. And everybody was kind of like a buzz, like, you got to go, you got to go, you got to go. So I went to the cosmic mass, and it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. He had some indigenous people with the directions and drums, and they were very talented, and they were in the beginning. I think he had some more music. He started off with a grief session, which, God, we all freaking need that right now, right? But he had us on all fours, like feeling the grief and then letting it go with these sounds. And my partner, he had just had surgery, so he couldn't participate. He was sitting in the back, and he was like, Karen, he goes, I can't even describe the sound that was coming out from all of you all. Just this mass, and then he, there was various things, and it was very interactive. It was talking to the person next to you. It was various things, and then it kind of accumulated in an ecstatic dance, which was, it was really good. I was so into it. I was like, oh my, I got to do this again. I got to put it on the app. It's just, this is the future of worship, is what I thought, and it's funny because what I hear you saying, Harold, is so far witchcraft has been a solitary pursuit, but that's something else. I feel like somehow right now we have to bring it to the masses. And, I just feel like it's what the world needs.
Normalize it.
A
little,
because
the more we get out there and do what we do, for anybody to see, the less fear there's going to be about what we are. So I take every opportunity when I meet a Christian or with my Christian friends to identify with them on levels that they can embrace, that are pivotal to what I do. So many Christians are all on board with healing, with natural medicine, with manifestation, with setting your vibrations, to getting back what you put out. And I'm seeing over the last, 15 years, 20 years maybe, that's a lot different than it was when I was a child.
Hell yeah.
And manifestation now is mainstream, so yeah, I'm not afraid to call myself a witch in public.
We need to open our eyes, all eyes. There's more to this life. There's more to this death. There's more. And it's not a sin or bad to know extra stuff. I feel like you need to learn, you need to crave. It's being a witch, you crave this stuff, you crave want to know, and it's amazing to me. I love it. I love to learn new stuff.
Yeah, you know, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
What I was going to say is like almost 12,000 people in my app. Most of them are people who are into this, the divine feminine. You know, they hold, they have podcasts, or they've written a book, or they have courses or retreats or whatever. And I'm going to tell you what has blown me away is the fact that most of them don't have regular community. Most of them don't do, you know, what after this podcast, my backyard right now is set up for a solstice. It's just 3 of us. You know, maybe my partner's going to do a little drumming and hang out, and we're just going to make it short and sweet. And, you know, but I mean, how many people have that, you know?
The community. This
something
is our
easy
community.
Something easy where it's not, you know, months of planning and money and costumes and,
Yes.
you know, and all that's awesome, all that's great, but I think a lot of the people right now don't have the energy for that, you know.
So our community is going to come together tonight or today, and you know, it's going to. I wish there was more like us, but you know, it's going to be amazing. I believe.
I don't. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, well, okay.
No, I'm kidding. I'm sitting here saying we gotta bring it to the masses, and I'm like, I'm just fine with the 3 of us.
I am too, really. It's gonna be great.
Well, I think that's part of witchcraft. I'm gonna say, or maybe the divine feminine is it's full of opposites, and sometimes I like the crowd, sometimes I don't. So.
Same. Yeah. It would just be nice though to people to open their eyes a little bit more when they see a witch and not be so closed-minded, because it hurts. It really does.
It's funny because I actually, the more I've been doing this and the more I hang out with like people into this, the less I somewhat tend to forget that this is not normal. And I've gotten to this point where I just like kind of go with it, but then I'm brought back. Like I have my daughter. I have a daughter who's 14. And she had a friend that we went. I've got some land on Tennessee, North Carolina border, and we went for the weekend for a May Day celebration. And that girl was going to come, but she's newly Christian, and she was like, you know, I had brought out an oracle deck at a sleepover, and she was all up in arms about that. She was like, you know, you know, and so she decided not to come because we were going to be witching in the woods
with demons.
With demons. That's what she put in the chat. She said, yeah, she invited me, but I decided not to go because they're hanging out with demons in the woods.
Astaroth was out there and stuff, you know.
So I forget. I mean, because to me, that's just fucking stupid. An oracle deck is, again, it's telling you what you already know inside. It's helping you reach that divinity within yourself.
Just do it.
Well, and so much of this stuff you can point back to politics and control.
Yes. Well, that's what all the restrictive religions can be traced back to, is trying to control other people. And it does, you know, I know it's a naive thing to say, but it does shock me every day that as human beings, we are still allowing the Christian church, and not you know, the Christian beliefs, but the church.
The churches.
The
building.
To limit us, and not question in a greater number, why are they wanting to control us so bad? Why can't I?
Yeah.
Why can't I read that book? Why can't I read the Gnostic Gospels?
Yes.
Why? You know, it amazes me that we're in this year, in this time period, and more Christians are not gobbling up the Nag Hammadi text. I try not to think about it because it makes me upset. But you know,
Well, I haven't thought about that too, because I think, like, Christianity, not everybody is going to want to be a minister, a preacher, or go to seminary. So that's where I think witchcraft is today, is not everybody is going to want to study this intently and understand all of it, but pretty much everybody can benefit from it.
Yes. It's beautiful. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's hard sometimes too, but in all, it's a beautiful thing.
Beautiful way of looking at the world.
Yes. We have to look at something beautiful nowadays. It's a rough whole entire world. And, being an empath and everything, it's very hard to see all this crap going on. So coming to witchcraft for the healing to help myself has been very beneficial.
So we're getting at to the bottom of the interview and everything, and I really appreciate y'all coming on and sharing your spirituality with us on here in the station and things. The last thing that I would want to ask each and one of you individually is some words of advice to fellow witches, so to speak, or maybe not even witches, maybe seekers or magics peoples or druids or shamans, because lots of different people in our community wear different hats.
Yes.
And wear different egos and things. And a witch is a very, very comfortable skin, so to speak. But what would be your words of wisdom to your fellow person of spiritual goodness, because we definitely don't want to give people bad advice here on Witchcraft TV. So what would be your advice? I would love to hear that from y'all. Closing words, so to speak.
I just feel like, to me, I feel like you don't need to give up. Keep your eyes open. Be who you need to be for yourself first. First. You are first. You have to be first. If you're not first, you cannot continue on. Think of yourself, and I know that sounds bad, but think of yourself and heal yourself, and then open your eyes, and then you'll be able to help others. And I just feel like, being an empath, like I said, let's think of ourselves, and let's look at your heart and not scar it, but let's look at it and mend it and continue on.
I would like to say to all young witches out there to get off of TikTok and don't pay any attention to the gatekeepers telling you can't do it this way. You can't, you gotta do it this way, or it's not going to work. I see so many young people, and not necessarily in age, but young practitioners going, oh, I did the spell, but it's not going to work because I forgot to light my candle, or I don't have the right kind of incense, or I can't incorporate that because that's cultural appropriation. And part of being a witch is giving yourself the freedom to cherry pick from every religion or school of thought that's out there. And the only people that I've ever encountered, and I'm an old woman, so I've encountered a lot, that complain about cultural appropriation are not in the culture that they're up in arms about. I call myself Buffalo Woman because the white Buffalo Woman came to me in a vision that I didn't even try to have, out of my body and everything. Crazy. But, obviously I'm not American Indian, but I've met a lot of American Indians, indigenous Americans, and none of them have ever, preached this, you can't do that because you weren't born in that culture. I've also, I incorporate voodoo into my practice. And I lived in New Orleans for a while, which is where I really got into it when I was there. And I knew some African Americans that practiced it, and not a single one of them were like, "Oh, you can't do that because you're a white woman and you weren't raised in the Caribbean or in Africa." It's people that, so I would love to see more people allow themselves the freedom to explore anything they feel drawn to explore, and to not have that fear.
Hey, women, if we're not, then we're, we're people who cross boundaries, right? Yeah. My advice would be, don't be afraid of what you don't know. And I stole that from Steven Spielberg's movie that I saw yesterday, which is really good. And I would really recommend it. But, I just, I see so many people, especially in today's world, who are just afraid. They're just letting fear run their freaking life. And they're afraid of trying something new. They're afraid of getting out there and meeting people and talking to people and seeing different perspectives and learning about things. And I'm not going to lie, all of those things have bit me in the ass in my lifetime. So, but I think of it a lot like I do my kids when I see them sitting in their freaking bed with their cell phones. You want that to be your life? That's all I got to say.
Thank y'all so much for coming on the Lone Wolf Show on Witchcraft TV and pursuing your spirituality. And it's really cool. And I wish the best of success for Witch Podcast. And where can we hear, where are we going to find the future episodes for that? Is that going to be a YouTube thing?
Here. Okay.
Right here.
Right now it's on YouTube. If you go to the Divine Feminine app, YouTube channel, and that is my plug for my app too, thedivinefemininapp.com. But you'll find it there on YouTube. And so we're just doing an episode a month. We may scale up now.
We're working on it.
Hell yeah, make sure you keep it right here on Witchcraft TV. Fair representation for all witchcraft paths. Doesn't matter which kind of path. Occultic, magic. Hail to the matriarch, that's for sure. See y'all next time.